Welcome to the Sports Post Podcast. This is Jag Mangit for June 2nd, 2021. Let's get the cat out of the bag right now. The Lakers blew it completely. I think it was 63 to 33 or something like that at halftime, and it was just an utter pathetic performance from the Los Angeles Lakers. And Anthony Davis was not playing, but that's still no excuse for that as your defending champions. So Phoenix takes a 3-2 lead in the playoffs in that series, and if they play anything like they did last night, it's over. It's absolutely over. So LeBron James says basically you know shoot every shot that you have, including throwing in the gun. Well, hopefully they do that in the next game, and this is just not what I expected at all. Um, the LA Lakers really got their asses kicked last night. So I don't know. It's I think the next game is tomorrow, and quite frankly, if Anthony Davis is not able to make it, it's over. Speaking of not able to make it, is Joel Embiid. Now, before I do that, I want to take a look at the NHL. NHL Tampa, they beat Carolina last night, and they are up in that series 2-0. And tonight is the first game of Montreal versus Winnipeg, game one, and that should be a good one. I believe it's in Winnipeg. Also, you have Colorado Avalanche taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. I believe Colorado is up 1-0. And let me just check on that for a second. Yeah, they're up 1-0. I got a bad short-term memory, by the way. Okay, so they're up 1-0. So I fully believe Canadians will win tonight, and the Colorado Avalanche will win tonight as well. Shifting over to the NBA, before I divulge into the biggest news of the day, Joel Embiid is out tonight as the Wizards take on the 76ers. Wizards are down 3-1. They face elimination. Also facing elimination is the New York Knicks. Now, it is the first game since Clint Capella's comments towards the Knicks, and they are in MSG, so fully expect Clint Capella to get booed the hell out of the building. You know that's going to happen. So Trae Young can push his team to advance into the semi-conference finals, and they would take on most likely the Philadelphia 76ers. Last night also, the Brooklyn Nets advanced by beating the Boston Celtics, and they advance. They will take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Also tonight you have Utah Jazz. They could advance to the semi-conference finals if they beat Memphis Grizzlies tonight, who are facing elimination. I think they will, just because of the fact that Utah Jazz, they only got that one game because Donovan Mitchell was out. They only lost that game, and Rudy Gobert, Jordan Clarkson, and Donovan Mitchell are playing at elite level, and I think they will finish off the Memphis Grizzlies, and they will take on the winner of the Dallas Clippers matchup, which is also playing tonight. They are tied 2 apiece. Luka is stepping back into the Staples Center to face on the Clippers. Luka, of course, is facing that injury, the neck injury, and it's going down to his arm. So we'll see what happens. Also, the biggest news of the day. Now, as you guys know, I have been critical of Danny Ainge, calling him Danny Boy Ainge, because he's a boy in a man's world when it comes to general managing. He got lucky when it was 08, and quite frankly, Kevin McHale is the only reason. Because of that, Kevin McHale did him that favor by giving him KG, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, Danny Boy Ainge has agreed to step down. Brad Stevens, the guy that was coaching the Boston Celtics, moved up into the GM role, and now you have candidates like um, Jason Kidd. I forget the other guy's name from Atlanta, and also Chauncey Billups. I fully believe Chauncey Billups will become the head coach of the Boston Celtics. That remains to be seen yet, but if you guys paid attention to First Take, Stephen A. Smith pretty much said it is a privilege to be a white person, because the fact that Brad Stevens moved up, even though he was not getting it done as a head coach, he moved up as an executive. Now, my thoughts on that are 50-50, because I get where Stephen A is coming from, and I get, like, it's hard to get a executive position as a black person in the States. The only one is Messiah Ujiri, sorry, and he's in Canada, and he's not even American. So I get where Stephen A is coming from, but I think this was not based on race. I think it was just based on the fact that he was there. I don't think Brad Stevens is a good pick, because they should have at least scouted out new GM talent, and they should have actually done a thorough search, just like they're doing for the coaching. And who knows, like, a black person may have been more qualified than Brad Stevens. A white person may have been more qualified than Brad Stevens. We don't know, but to just appoint someone from a head coaching position to a general managing position, that yeah, I thought a lot more. There would have been a more vigorous and detailed process into this, a more competitive process into this, because you can't just give a person a position just because, like, that's just like saying, in the government, I'm giving you a higher position, and there's no competition process. I'm not going to look at any other candidates. I'm only going to give you the process. See, that's where it becomes really messed up, because if you're applying for a job and you want that job, and someone else gets it who's already doing the position, and they refuse to look at any other candidates, then yeah, it's I get where Stephen A is coming from, and they should have done a more thorough search into other candidates. Um, I 100% agree with them, and but I also agree that Brad Stevens, I get he's a head coach, but he should have been used up in a more competitive process. So that is the news of the day. Danny Boy Ainge has resigned, and rumor has it that he might go to Utah as a consultant role, and it's yeah, I I honestly think that he should just retire from basketball, because he doesn't I know he has some knowledge, but he doesn't have the exact knowledge needed to get the job done, because he did a horrible job in Boston. I'm fully glad I'm very glad that he is stepping down in Boston. I'm not a Boston fan, but I'm just saying that Boston had all the talent in the world, and they still couldn't get anywhere. If you take a look at their last couple of years, um, it's you can't get the job done elsewhere, right? They they had all the pieces, and the last, what, 4 or 5 years they've come close, but nothing to show for it. no championships, no conference championships. Didn't even go to the finals since 2010. So yeah, it's I'm glad that he's going and pursuing a job elsewhere. Boston really needs to step up, and um, I know he's already appointed as a GM, but Brad Stevens should have been involved in a competitive process, like an actual competition for that position. You can't just hand it to a person. That's the exact same thing what happens in corrupt environments, corrupt job environments. And I've seen it before, and it's not the first time, it's not the last. So I get where Stephen A is coming from, and that's it. This is Jag Mangit for the Sports Post podcast. Make sure you tune in to tonight's games and the podcast Sports Post on iTunes, Google Play, Castbox, and Spotify. June 2nd, 2021.